Tunnel vision.
We're here with Ronnie Phillips.
Jail update.
The hammer's not loud enough, Casey.
Yeah, we had another one.
Just keep pounding on.
Get a gun.
Oh,
Starter
On
gun.
that.
9:02, 9:03. So,
So,
what do we know? Where are we at?
we're actually pretty close to being done with all the painting. We've got it's painted all the way to, when you go in the doors on the sheriff's office side, that first door that you go into, we have not done a whole lot there. They're working on getting that painted, and coming around the corner, they're getting the whole booking room painted. The floors are pretty much all done. The cells are pretty much all done. I think there's just a little bit of painting left to do in the seats and the tables in the actual cells themselves. I think we're getting the kitchen all cleaned up. Didn't realize what a wreck that was. It was pretty disgusting in there. So we're working on getting that all cleaned up. I've got a call into Shauna at Sanders County, how they do their food. Because I was told that they actually have FSA deliver their food.
Is that the outfit out of Washington?
FSA, they're out of Missoula.
Oh,
And they actually cook stuff at the jail. Like they get the lasagna that's already pre-made, so all they have to do is stick it in the oven.
so it's like
So-
a big foil pan.
Yep. And then you portion it out and everything. And I've got, like I said, I've got a call into her. The day I went down to talk to the people at the old school, of course, it was their day off. And I didn't
Monday.
know that, yeah, didn't realize that. But I wanted to kind of talk to Sean and then maybe approach the people at the old school and see, money-wise. I want to keep everything budgeted correctly, and that way we don't have issues, and get the contract done a little bit better than what it has been in the past. So we know and they know exactly what is expected, especially when you have stuff in there that says that it's not edible and you turn in, we should not be paying for that. And it stated that in the jail contract. And then when we would implement that, they got really upset and said, well, you can't do that. And they changed all the numbers to where everything, was the whole meals or all the inmates. But on the days that there were, like, I want to say it was the nighttime meal, soup. And we had that big cluster where it was not edible and they brought over other stuff, but we should not have had to pay for that because it was their mistake. And that's not fair to the county or the jail, having to pay for something that was not edible. I'm trying to think what else we got going. We're still doing some training. We've gotten some bookings done in, booking releases, booking transports. That's why I was here late last night, because we had females and a lot of bookings.
So how many do we have in Sanders County now then?
I know of for sure 3 that went over, I believe. 2 or 3 that went over from yesterday, and then they had transported a couple up earlier in the day on probation holds and stuff like that.
So do you think we have approximately how many total prisoners over there?
I want to say at least maybe 6. I know there'll be one coming today and headed up there. So at least 6 that I know of that we are possibly paying for.
So how many detention officers do we have hired now?
We have 4, and then we have Brandy. That one I have to wait until she goes to the academy before she can actually sit the desk. But I've got a couple more to interview, which, yes ma'am.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we have 2 more to interview to see if they would be a good spot for in the jail.
No, I thought we had everybody hired
No,
by now.
just need 1 more, and then we should be good.
But we're good. All vacancies are filled for dispatchers though?
Yes,
We just need one more for a jail.
you have one more for jail.
And what did you say, Brandy can't do anything at?
Right now,
Civic?
with, because of the post standards and legalities, unless, once we talk to the sheriff and the county attorney and see what we can do, what we can't do. Their rule is from the date of hire, you're in a position. If you go out of that position. and
Oh, you're talking about
into-
the time to attend academy before you.
Correct. And that's where we're at with that, because she came to dispatch. Now we want to put her back in detention. She ultimately has to go to detention officer basic before she can actually sit at the desk. It's kind of like a deputy. So they make their year mark and still haven't
Mhm.
gone to the academy. We have to put in an extension, and that
Mhm.
officer technically cannot, I believe, cannot do anything until they go to the academy, other than sit in the office and
So what?
do paperwork or something like that.
What detention officer time is counting towards this year? Because it doesn't, not when she's at dispatch, because that's a different.
That's a different thing, but it's the date of hire. So she's already passed the date of hire for when she was detention. She's also now in dispatch. She has a year to go to dispatcher basic, which is why she's going in February for that, because it's required.
And are they taking her time and apportioning it out? Because she wasn't full-time over there. She was, what, 3 hours or 4
Nope.
hours?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't,
It does not
So
matter.
we have to pay her to
Yep,
go to dispatch training,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
and then she's going back to detention, and then we'll have
I
to pay
asked
for her
that
to be.
question, and that's what they told me, and I was like, great, okay.
Bring that, yeah, when you talk to the county attorney, bring that part up with her, because it's not like she was a full-time 40 hours a week doing that. I wonder, you think they'd break out the time and cumulative year?
Yeah, that's not how Post does it.
So has anybody like gone in Missoula and shadowed their detention officers, or anybody come out here yet, or?
Not yet. Have that, those are the calls I'm gonna be making and getting them out here. Or at least try to get somebody out here. Or up to Sanders County and see, you know, because basically Sanders County is a lot like we are. And if we could shadow them up there. Dave has been here a year. He knows the job.
Right, and he's been to training.
But also, I need to take the other guys and at least get them up there and see what we can do there. And that was my
You
question
know, in
to
Missoula,
Sean.
it's just as easy or close to get to the, maybe you could call the Missoula guy and just see if a jailer could go and spend a shift in Missoula and shadow them.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
if they could
'cause
just go shadow.
That would be
them in
less
Missoula.
of a pain for them to come out here. They just, oh, you know, some guy from Superior's gonna be walking around with us today learning the job, and they'd be able to probably acclimate to that easier than take a whole day and send a guy out here. But especially if we don't really have any bodies for them to work with, you know.
Mhm.
In there, you get the training
Mhm.
with actual people in the cell.
That's what I was thinking with Sanders County too.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
actual.
Well, I mean, I guess
on-force.
whatever works. I mean, if you're doing a transport up there,
Mhm.
if the jailer goes, he can stay and do some training and come back
Mhm.
later, and/or if he needs supplies in Missoula or something, a guy could run in, get him, and then spend the afternoon at the jail and come home, you know.
Yep. Okay.
But between the two, yeah, maybe you can get some of that off your to-do list.
Yep.
I mean, it just sounded like, according to Lance anyway, that those Missoula guys were more than eager to
Mhm.
help accommodate us and do it, and,
I will get a hold of
yeah.
them.
And they've got plenty of activity in the Missoula jail to get some experience or some training.
Yeah, yeah. Questions?
So are you still dispatching?
I'm still doing both.
How many days, or what's your dispatch schedule?
Usually Tuesday evenings and Thursdays and Fridays. Right now I have Patty coming in on Fridays, so I can be more into the jail part.
So you're just trying to get more dispatchers trained so you can,
I can be out of dispatch
Yeah.
and do just the jail for now. Now, there'll be times, of course, that I'm needed in the
Mhm.
dispatch, but
Mhm.
trying to get it to where I'm strictly working the jail until we get everything up running and going, and then I can do the other duties too that need to be done.
And so this is kind of off topic, but so I don't forget to mention it to you, and then we can get back to some, you know, where are we at with, like, someone came in and complained about the cars piling up in the impound lot out there by the airport and stuff, and
That one, you know, there's a lot of those vehicles that are still under investigation. There's a lot of them that are old, that probably should just be junked, that we have to find out from the county attorney which
Mhm.
ones we can get rid of and which ones we can't.
How, I mean, what is so difficult about that part of it?
Letters.
So-
You have to write letters to the actual owners of the vehicles.
Some of those have been here since Sean Donovan days.
And we were trying to get them to release them at that time too.
So what do these bigger counties do with their cars? I mean,
I have no clue. I
If-
actually hate doing those kind of
if
sheriff
that's,
sales.
if
'cause
that's
it
the
just-
letter of the law, Missoula County must accumulate
A lot.
20 times
Yeah.
what we do here. What do they do with theirs? I mean, they don't leave.
I know
them
Sanders
separate.
County has a smaller.
Some of those
impound
have
than we
been there
do.
for
Yeah, I
as
don't know.
long as I've been here.
Mhm. They were all up here. There was a lot of them up here, and then now they're all out
Mhm.
there.
And some of them probably aren't even really related to a case, they might just have been,
I think there might be
towed off.
one out there that's not related to a
towed from
case
the
for
town
sure.
pump parking
Yeah,
lot
I
or
think-
whatever.
I
Actually,
think the
those
ones
ones
that-
shouldn't be doing that anymore.
Okay.
Those actually should be going to the towing company
Mhm.
because they can file on those.
Mhm.
But case-related ones, and once the case
Yeah.
is adjudicated,
So maybe just a
then
matter of, you know,
getting rid of them.
putting pen to paper and writing down the numbers and the cars and say,
Yep.
can this go, can this go, because
No,
'Cause I think we
St.
got
Regis
rid of
Sewer
that.
District was interested in that one utility truck out
Hmm.
there for their,
well, I can't remember who it was that brought it, but they said that they thought if we grew too much and had too much junk and we're getting rid of what we don't need, that they thought the FAA might have a problem with it. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's true or not,
I
but.
don't know if that's true because it's not up above into the air.
Doesn't
zone,
matter.
so.
I mean, we couldn't even have the brush pile out there, so.
That didn't make any sense
No,
to me
I know.
either. So, okay.
I think
I'll
we
bring
got
that
rid
up
of
too.
all the ones that weren't case related when we had that little auction that one time that we did have an auction. But-
We got rid of quite a few of them
Yeah.
then, but I know that there's more out there, and, you know, we've been having some problems with people breaking into there and cutting the fence.
Oh,
Maybe we should go.
yeah, I think we need to get as many out of there as we can.
I will talk to the sheriff on that one.
As long as we're off topic. There was an accident down by Warrenton's. Kid
Okay.
passed on Slick Roads a week or so ago,
Okay,
flipped upside down.
okay.
They complained to me about response time of getting an answer at the 911. Said the phone rang 20 times.
That wouldn't surprise me if you're getting a whole bunch of calls and we're taking information and you're the only one in there. Literally, I have had like 2 phones,
Mhm.
the radio, and you can only do so much when you're the only one in there dealing with it.
It
If
was
there's
like
2 of us-
4:30 in the morning, so I don't know how busy it was. And it was-
Yeah.
I, you
Yeah, I
know,
don't know
that
if you,
one
if
I
you
don't
wanna
even-
check, and what I surmise, I mean, everybody's gotta relieve themselves once in a while, maybe she just happened to be going to the bathroom.
Yeah, that could have been.
And if there wasn't a jailer in there at that hour.
Because he did say the second time that he called back after letting it ring, you know,
A few
helped the
times.
guy out of the car. And when he did call back the
Yeah.
second time, they did.
Somebody answered.
Yeah, if you could research it, and if there's something there, then address it, and if not, then,
What was it, last week, or
Yeah.
not this following,
Yeah, I think
but
it
last
was.
week?
I think it was last Wednesday.
yeah, it was,
I know that there's been several times that, but when I'm writing, and if I'm talking to the driver, my 911s, I can't answer them all at one time, so I'm trying to get all the information, make sure that they're okay. If they're hurt, I gotta get an ambulance going and get this
yeah,
one, that one. So-
there's possibility,
Yeah.
we don't know if that was applicable in this case or not.
Yep, yep. I can
Um,
check into that.
I mean, and if it helps you scan it better, the caller wasn't he Collier?
Yeah, it was
And
Mike
then,
Collier.
and then the guy that wrecked the car was David Rovald, if that helps you find your, I think it was 4:30 or 4:45 a.m., I don't know the date, but
I think it was last Wednesday.
I thought maybe it was 2 weeks ago by now,
You said
Oh, it'd be
4:30
a
in
week
the
ago
morning?
this last Wednesday.
And it was
Oh.
last week?
No, well, a week ago this
but.
last
So 10
Wednesday.
days ago or so?
Yeah, yeah, 'cause
10 days, 10 days, okay.
But it was a Wednesday morning though.
Wednesday, Thursday.
And they called out a patrolman from Plains. I know that won't be in your record.
That's not gonna be my problem. Okay.
So do we have a tentative date we're gonna have the jail open, or?
I'm hoping for the middle of February. I really am hoping for the middle of February. Maybe a little longer, but I'm hoping that we can get everything up and going and be ready to go. We still have the leak on the roof. I don't know if Joel came in and told you about that yet. So we still have issues with the one cell in our purple room, that's pod 4, that when everything melts down and it's really up there, it'll come right down into that cell. And it's on the bed, it's all over the floor. We were actually very lucky to get the floor painted. We had must have had enough of a dry spell there that we got the floor painted, we've got the walls painted, but you can see the rust coming down in the little strips in that particular room.
Are any of these leaky roofs the same patch job that Mark Grimm and Roy did, or are they new ones to the same problem
Same
area?
Yep. Joel did say that as soon as, he's been up on the roof several times, and he said as soon as it gets dried out enough, he can get up there and get it taken care of, and hopefully it'll last a lot longer, because it seems like every other year we start having all of this, will be good once it's patched for a while, and then it's that particular room. I haven't seen it in any other room, just that particular room.
And my wife came in and got her fingerprints redone,
And,
and while I was there, Nolan gave me a tour of the jail.
oh, okay.
I went over there. And Thomas is a pretty nice kid, and he had to do them twice because something,
Sometimes they don't take.
Yeah.
well, and it wasn't that, it was something, the wrong paper or the wrong format. So there's like a green sheet, larger, and there's the smaller white one, and it was taking the larger green sheet and trying to print it on the smaller white one, so all the fingerprints were.
Oh, that,
So
the
we had
green
to-
sheet is our man's forms,
Mhm.
and that's for your felony.
So we had to
We
figure out how to
have
change the computer, whatever, so it would print it correctly on the white form.
We're having some problems right now with that internet connection, and there's supposed to be somebody coming out today from DIS to fix that problem. So hopefully that'll get done today.
So back to the meal thing, like if you did get the, what'd you call the outfit out of Missoula?
FSA.
FSA, you already do have an oven and stuff, you guys would be able to
Cook it right there.
cook it in.
Yeah, I want to make sure legally what we can do, what we can't do, so we don't have the ACLU coming in, and
Well, I wonder why, so they must have it covered up there.
I don't know. That's why I have those questions to ask.
It's the girl from Butte.
Sorry I'm late.
Huh.
Get on the phone and.
Hi. Yeah, just to find out, because we're told we have to have a dietitian. I want to know how they go about doing it. And actually, I was told we should have a dietitian up at the hospital or the county health nurses that we
Yeah,
could
the hos-
utilize.
The hospital has a dietitian, so
So,
I think Sherry is the
the Sherry
dietitian up there, I
dietitian,
think.
I can call her and talk to her on that one, I'm sure. I asked Jolie for who her person is, and she never
Divulged.
and then when we talked, I want to say a week or two ago, she said, well, I don't have one right now. I said, okay. But she'd always tell me it was whoever was in Missoula. Her dietitian was in Missoula. So,
Well, also, I think Mako has one. Doesn't she, Casey, doesn't Mako have a dietitian?
Is it Taylor?
Yeah, that little gal that came
Yeah.
out with, so
Yeah, maybe call her. She might have some information.
she might have some suggestions.
okay. Okay.
So you're thinking Valentine's Day, new target date.
Somewhere in there, hopefully. I'm just gonna say it that way, hopefully, because crap happens.
So if we, and then you're gonna interview when for,
We're gonna set it up for next week.
Yeah.
I have Monday open and Wednesday open. And Tuesday afternoon I could be here. I got an eye appointment in Missoula at noon, but
Let's do, Monday's district court day. And I think we have people that we have to bring down from Sanders.
We have a lot. We're hoping to do Vision Net. We're
Oh.
keeping our fingers crossed. I think we've got about 4 that need to come from Sanders, and so they usually they can't ride in the car together, especially if it's male and female. All of them, I think, are Kirk Curtillas, and so far he's indicating he'll let them
Do the
appear as
Vision.
Vision Net.
So that would be
Fingers
awesome.
crossed, yeah.
Let's do it for Wednesday. That way, we don't have to worry about any of it, just in case, if you don't mind.
What time is
whenever you
open?
want
The whole
to.
day? Okay.
Yeah,
All right, I'll get them scheduled and let you know when they are.
perfect, perfect. So, are we ready? You want to come and do the tour as well?
Sure, I took a tour with Boone, but I'll take another one.
Okay,
Cool.
ready?
Yep.
we got a 9:30 agenda item, we're a little late, and it
Sorry.
says jail administrator update and clarification.
Just so I'm clarified, I know what's going on and why. I didn't have the Sanders County job description to see what their stuff was like, what they do, what they don't do. This is pretty much everything that I do as well, what I'm looking at. Holy crap. Yep. Sorry. I didn't have this before. I didn't know, but I know I do that one, that one. Pretty much everything that's on this job description is what I do. Or will be doing, I should say.
The only thing different on this one would be accountable to commissioners instead of the sheriff.
Are you talking what their stuff is?
Well, no, on your, this,
Yeah, pretty much everything that's on here is what we do. And what I'll be doing as the jail administrator with all the duties with dispatch and detention. I know I will be involved in doing all the transports and stuff, which I'm already doing. Making sure, of course, staff is where you need to have the staff. And meetings. I said end the meetings,
Mhm.
you know, here. Making sure that we have the food stuff on track, the security of the buildings. Yep, public relations, we already do that.
Yeah, that's on the job characteristic for Mineral County, what is it, 1, 2, second paragraph, job characteristics, and then the third item lying down says supervision received. Must be able to work with minimal supervision by the sheriff, so we're just gonna say, work with minimal supervision by the commissioners.
Commissioners, okay.
And then, yeah, like you said, a lot of this stuff, we kind of, we're doing already, prepare work schedule, review training requirements,
Mhm.
monitor status of grants, and reporting requirements.
So I
collect
had
fees.
talked to the county attorney on a couple of items, or well, the pay issue, and asked where, you know, what would be the best way to handle that? Is it something that salaried or not salaried? Because it's cheaper to pay an employee overtime than me, who make more than they do. If when all is said and done, with the raises
Mhm.
that, or raise that should be coming. And I guess because by what I'm being told, I'm at 6 months, and that's not what I had talked to you about. I thought it was 2 to 3 months.
Well, we just want to see how it goes.
Right, I
and revisit-
understand that.
I mean, yeah, like,
Yeah,
get things.
and I understand that. And the only thing, I guess, on my part, and maybe I don't think I'm being unreasonable, is that, like I said, the rest of the department had received that $1.50 raise, or theirs is $1.80. I already received the 30 cents. That's why I asked for the $1.50, so that everything was the same across the board for everybody in the department. And then once everything else was moved forward after the time, then get the rest. And like I said, I hear different things. I'm sure you guys hear different things. I don't know what the exact amount was. Do you, Ellen?
The exact amount for the other employees?
No, for the raise for the jail administrator person.
All right. I wasn't in the committee. I was under the impression, I did talk to Lance this week, that there was, well, it all depended on who they hired.
Mhm.
Because I think we started at 15.
It was 15.
And then it would go up depending on experience. So
Right.
you're 1685 or
1650,
1650. So Lance was saying something like the recommendation they had made was, I think, initially $1 or
Okay.
so, and then reevaluated 6 months where it could have been more. But I think that was just the recommendation to the commission.
Well, I remember when we, decided or picked Ronnie, that we'd keep her at what she was and then evaluate after 6 months
Yeah.
is what.
So it's sort of performance driven, kind of.
Mhm.
you know.
Okay. Well, that's not what my understanding was, because that's
No.
not what I was told by
I think that's what was
some of the
in the
committee
minutes. so.
people, so.
I mean, because.
Because
Watch the
I did
video
ask
back.
Lance as well, and he said, no, it's supposed to be $1, so. That's what I would ask for then, whatever the committee had, because I am doing the duties. And that would bump me up a little bit at least. Don't know. Trying to do the best I can. Yeah. That's fine.
Well, if we could get the jail up and running, then everybody would be in a good mindset.
I understand that.
So this is on the agenda just to go over, I'm confused on what we're trying to accomplish right now.
So we also need to look at like the job description
Mhm.
to figure out which functions are essential and which are not.
What, say that last part, which are what?
Which are essential functions of a job. Just so everybody's on the same page with what their responsibilities are.
And then maybe come up with, make sure we
Yeah.
have one for our
Yeah,
county.
like, this is just kind of a
Because I
draft.
know the committee worked off like the Sanders County, which looks
Mhm.
good, and then we have the administrative assistant position description for Mineral
Mhm.
County, but maybe just kind of,
Mesh them both.
yeah,
Yeah.
amalgamize or whatever, the two of them, so we have a job description. So then Ronnie knows what,
What's expected
Yeah,
and what's
what's
not
expected.
expected. I guess I'm just asking that it not wait for 6 months at least for something.
And is Sanders County's jail administrator salary, or are they hourly?
I don't know, except I have a call into her. I don't know that I've gotten that call back yet. And I'm gonna call her when I go back in to the dispatch center and find out. I can find out what all she does and how they deal with everything.
Ronnie, how would you feel about going through the Sanders County and this one, kind of marking it up?
Mhm.
And then maybe we
Yeah.
can put this back on the agenda, you can, give it to me, we can try to just develop it.
Yeah.
If you have time to just go through and say, yep, nope, or
Yeah.
in the future, or a year down the road or something.
Okay,
Just-
I can do that.
Because I think it's,
A black pen and a highlighter or whatever.
Yep.
yeah, I think it's,
Or a red
Mhm.
pen and a highlighter.
it's important that Ronnie knows, what she's supposed to be doing.
Yep.
And the county should direct her in that, so.
Agreed, agreed.
Casey, did Mako have a job description for jail administrator?
I'm not sure, I can look.
They should have to, because they're doing jail updates all the time.
Yes, and they have the policies and.
So the Sanders one kind of looks like a Mako
Version.
replica, that's what their model policies kind of look like, but I will go on the portal.
It
and
actually
get
says at the
one.
bottom, Mako/JPIA 2013
Okay.
permission granted to member counties.
So that is a Mako
So this is a
one.
Mako one.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we can just, and it looks like they
Just
just
got a red
updated
little
this
finer print?
July of
See that.
17, so the 13 might be their most recent. Yeah, that's good.
Right, I will do that.
You working all day today?
No, I'm actually have to head to, I've got a lot of overtime on
Oh,
for this week,
knocking
so
off
I'm
already.
actually leaving at noon and going to Frenchtown. I got Patty here all day today, so.
Okay, well, thanks for the tour and,
You bet.
yeah.
Going to be an hourly or salary position?
She just now brought that up today.
Yep.
Okay, so that's still trying to be determined.
Yep.
That was her idea, yeah, we haven't even
Okay.
talked about it.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Where are we at?
Sherlaw Avenue letter of acceptance?
You're not used to that yet, are you?
No.
Knows it gets
Go ahead and whack
softer.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Mr. Tim Reed, how are you today?
Fine.
Fine, be that way.
So just a little bit of a follow-up then. So the Bowers, Lapierre's, Sperry, and Wrights got back to us and tendered an offer. We had some discussion, but they, as a group, got together and said that they were willing to remit to the county $500 each for their 4 parcels of area that they would pick up out there, so that would be a total of $2,000. So I said I would just take that to the commissioners, and I think we had sort of a little quick conversation about it, but if we should have something formal for the file and sign a letter and then send it back to them that it's accepted, so. And again, we didn't have an appraiser appraise that area. I think it'd really be hard to appraise. I don't know how you go off to the side of a street and say, what's the side of a existing right-of-way worth for anything like that. It's not quite equitable because, one is getting a little more area than the other, but it
They're
all
all-
joins their property, so.
And they're all in agreement, all 4 of them, so.
So that's what we've done today, and
So the money will go to what, Tim? I mean, is
That-
that for your research or?
well, that's a discussion to have, because should we put the money in the road department, which is logical. I mean, it's a road issue to do that. But what I would turn around and have a discussion and propose to you is that we use probably a majority of this money to make an offer to Terhune over there for that piece of Daco Lane. I think if we just offered him something, I think he would be mindful of giving the county an easement across that additional 30 feet for that 180 feet width out there. I mean, he's obviously aware that it doesn't do him any good. It's on the other side of the tracks.
Right.
But the question, and you have another meeting coming up, I guess, sometime here about Juniper, but since we only have a 30-foot right-of-way up to the railroad right-of-way, we have 60 feet for the width of the railroad tracks. But going up and past, or to and up, and however you want to say it, we only have a 30-foot easement, so.
Is that what might be holding up their crossing there?
No, it's
No?
not holding up the crossing, but MDT and the railroad said, if you guys do something, we'll do a little more centering. If not, we're gonna put it in the center of your 30 feet. And alls I would like to do is say, look, we have an easement that's 60 feet wide on the other side. It's kind of
Why not center it with that?
Yeah, no person's land. I mean, we probably should be looking at the other side of the easement too, but that one is not as clear as who MDT has what versus the county has what or whatever.
And that's where?
Right at the beginning of Daigle Lane, and then you connect to Jupiter at Sear just off the Sear.
That
Bridge
one we
there.
went and looked at.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Sawmill Gulch and do
After
that
we looked
stuff.
at your.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's saying that the one, once you cross the tracks, is the one that we can get from Mr. Terhune, but the one closest to Old Highway 10, that is all kind of discombobulated with the.
Well,
It's centered.
it isn't so much discombobulated, it is that Knutson got there first and made the claim for that piece and picked it up.
Yeah, but I thought he sold it to River Guide fella.
Well, he did.
Oh.
And I don't know that, I think the only thing I knew that the River Guide bought that for is that he was trying to cut the competition down, so he just didn't want somebody else to buy it.
Hmm.
Because Western Waters has bought their piece, and they would like to do something, but they have a little over half an acre, and
Who bought Western Waters? Or,
nobody bought Western Waters. Western Waters has transitioned into some different name now.
oh,
And split with the temples, so the temples are not involved with it anymore, they don't.
I think he's actually.
but this
working on
summer there
Coeur
was a
d'Alene.
sign, that said Western Waters Rafting Company for sale.
I know,
Oh,
and then, what's his name?
Jared?
Jared. He wrote me an email and he goes, hey, we're back and we're running our Western Waters, formerly known as Western Waters, is this out of Coeur d'Alene. And he says, we would like to be able to put in some bathroom facility for our employees there at that site.
Hmm.
We had this discussion quite some time ago that I can't do much for you because either you need to be able to get an easement on some adjoining landowners or do something to expand that big enough to qualify for a septic system. So, not that this would have much to do with it, but you know, if he,
They can't do like a vault or something, or is he looking for more than that?
well, if you're doing a holding tank vault type thing, then you can't have running water.
Oh.
You can't drill a well. The way it's set up is like, it doesn't make any sense to go out there and put in a holding tank and then have somebody have a water source
into
that's
it and filling it.
filling it way more than you would if you just had to
Right.
cart it in 5 gallons at a time. And so, anyway, if people want to live with a holding tank, we restrict and say, don't put in a well. Well, he wants a well because one thing he needs is to be able to wash his boats and rafts off, because that's, I think FWP are pushing him pretty hard on that.
No, the muscle thing.
Yeah, I talked to Brooke
Yeah.
Stanford out here one time, and somebody come by and was telling him about washing and doing that, and he goes, I've been doing that for 10 years. Why are you on my case now about washing them off and getting the mud off of them? I'm sure it was the invasive species thing. So I think, I could imagine that he would want that capability out there to wash something if he's, I don't know if he's carting rafts back and forth in Washington and over here, or I don't know what he's doing.
But they have that wash station at the Denimore rest area, so as far as coming in.
Yeah, but if he left these rafts over here and
But I mean, if he's going through it, I could see that you want to wash them, get them all cleaned up here so he can just sail through instead of
Right,
going,
instead of.
Yeah.
having-
oh,
Yeah.
guess what you got on your, here's a little spot.
at some point he's gonna have to go through it if he's going back over there for the winter.
Yeah, because
Is it-
yeah,
they've got the one there that 4th of July going into Idaho, so.
Okay. So you're going to get it both ways.
Yeah, you're gonna get it both ways.
So anyway, that's just kind of something. But anyway, so wherever the money gets parked, if it goes into the road fund, if we can just retrieve it out of there for, Jane EB's going to need to survey that. And they gave me an estimate quite some time back, but we'll just have to renew that. But it's,
And so if we buy this piece down there, then that'll center it up with,
we'll just have, on the Juniper side of it, on that side, we'll have 60 feet width to work with, and
but it'll be the same crossing? I mean.
Yeah, it'll be the
Okay.
same crossing
Okay.
and do that, part of it, but it would just, their footprint for that crossing is really more than 30 feet. I mean, by the time you get that box and you do everything else like that out of there. But technically, it's not a problem, because like I say, we're 65 feet, 60 feet in width for the railroad. It's just on either side of it, so, they're gonna put it in whatever, but are we gonna line it up here, or are we gonna line it up there type thing?
Okay, that sounds good.
But, I mean, we should, at least for the beginning of that, because of all of the Juniper Lane people and everything else, if we can make that into 60 feet, we should do that. And I think
Sounds
you're
good
gonna
to
hear a
me.
discussion about that coming up, not so, or the pretty near future.
With the DOT. Okay, so the Sherlaw letter, that seems to be fair and equitable at this juncture, and so we should probably formally approve it. Is that what you're indicating?
That's what I would suggest to you, please.
Okay.
I need it.
Okay. All right, letter on Commissioner letterhead to Jerry Bauer, Aaron LaPierre, William Berry, Jeff Wright, Olive Superior on Sherlaw Avenue. The Sherlaw Avenue partial abandonment proposal. On January 19th, the Mineral County Commissioners received a proposal for each landowner to pay $500 each, total of $2,000 to Mineral County for the partial abandonment of the 300-foot by 20-foot portion of the right-of-way of Sherlaw Avenue adjoining your respective lots in Block 66 and Block 67 of the Amador Town Site, a recorded plat, Book of Town Sites number 6. The Mineral County Commissioners accept your offer. Please make your checks payable to Mineral County.
I'll make a motion that we sign the letter to said property owners,
I would second that one.
$500 each.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you. A question that was posed, and I would be the answer of it, Roman, is, did they do anything with Sherlaw, or Sawmill for the railroad crossing? Did anything get improved down there by the railing?
You mean the crossing arms?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got put in a year and a half ago, I think.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah. The only thing
Was
was,
your place there?
yeah, the only thing that was kind of in question was that initially, and it doesn't matter to me, but I remember somebody wondering, because they were gonna do the fancy, big, wide 24-foot crossing, which they did, but then they were gonna come back and do the concrete part of it
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
instead of the wooden
yeah.
ties.
Yeah.
And they had it all set up, and they had the sign to, we're gonna be closed for blah, 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 while we, and then the sign was gone, they never did it, so I don't know what happened with that, although to me it's fine, I just wanted some forewarning coming down that hill, but that's the only thing that was kind of up in the air, is what happened to the idea that they were gonna
So that,
do the encasement in concrete like the Fish Creek one is in concrete, but.
and Two Rivers, have they put arms on it yet? It's- Okay, so Two Rivers is done, Sawmill is done,
Mhm.
so Daigle is next then.
Yeah, I think they did the Sawmill one in spring of 17, so.
Okay, and so they
Year
did,
ago.
basically did Two Rivers last summer,
Mhm.
so we very likely could expect Daigle this summer then. Okay,
What do we shoot for next one down there on that piece down below your mines field, so we can have fishing access down there? Or do they just end there?
I'm not sure, I don't know what that detail on that one, so.
Well, that's what they said when we were looking at that one in St. Regis, is that just work their way down, they make this one out here.
Yeah.
But then, they said, what about down there by Romans, and, that's a big trouble spot. And so we backed up, but I don't know what I'm sure they'll inform us.
In retrospect now, I'm glad that they did Sawmill. I was always hesitant, holding my breath if somebody was ever gonna do a 40, 50, 60 lot subdivision
No.
out there and move the road
Oh,
and
yeah.
do all of that, do we put it in the wrong place and stuff?
Mm.
But I don't see that piece of property getting developed for a long time now.
Yeah.
So.
Do they have cross arms there at the one across from the Natural Pier Bridge?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that where Roger Joe said got hit that time?
So-
They've had arms there.
Somebody got hit there.
Well, I thought it was there at the Natural Pier Bridge when
Well, it
Roger
was.
did on his,
Yeah.
I think he was in the, I think it was the grader when he was,
really?
yeah.
Yeah, there's actually been 3 two of them historical, but then the other guy just last year parked the butt end of his pickup right there and
Oh,
sent him clear down to the river. They clipped that one and he took the big ride down by the bridge all the way
wow.
down
Mm.
to the bottom there and stuff. So it was lucky that it didn't flip him over or do something. It was lucky that it just.
He actually parked his truck there?
He was doing something, he was trying to get off on that thing and drive down by the river down there, and I don't know, I'm waiting for the White Raven guy to start posting all that land. He said he was gonna be pretty neutral about that, people going down there and sitting on that sandy beach down there below. I mean, it is private property, and he essentially has a pretty big liability policy because of the meeting room and stuff.
So, Casey, do we have a meeting set with DOT next week? Oh,
They haven't called back.
oh, okay.
Beachy.
It's tentatively scheduled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I called the state shop out here about these lights out here on the overpass and nobody ever called me back, so.
And then, is that resolution up here in the basket, or should we do that one? Okay. It's a resolution dealing with the Title III money, and I guess while we maybe passed it, we didn't actually get it signed, and then in the interim, there was been like a minor adjustment on the amount of $1,000. So instead of $350,000 to be spent on the Title III Firewise projects, it's $351,000. So Tim, did you have a comment on it?
Well, a comment. The first comment is that Jessica was supplying me with information, and she was telling me the big number picture, which was around $350,000. She might have emailed me something specific, but more importantly is that when we went through the 45-day comment period and went through all the advertising and everything else, we did not specify a specific number in that as far as the funds that were to be amended. So only 2 things in that is that you can take this resolution and amend it to the exact amount, which cleans up the fiscal side of it. But then the other thing is that the resolution still should be 6/30/17 and signed on that date, because you've already authorized the money to be spent. So,
Just didn't put the amount in there.
so there's no problem with changing the amount, but the date needs to be
6/30/17.
backdated, so because you've expended funds.
Yeah, so it's resolution number 630-17, which is the date.
That we-
You had the public hearing.
Yep.
And that, so you're saying though when we sign our name, you'd like us to match the date?
And that's when you authorize the funds. That's when you
Obligated then?
obligated the funds to be spent, and that's the important thing. That's the obligation of the funds, so
It's just the exact amount instead of,
exact amount and do that, so there won't be this little strange thing out there in the future that somebody could be asking you for $1,300 to be sent back to the federal government. Take care of it.
there if you want to read it. Did you help type that, or? Yeah. Just trying to give credit where credit's due.
We have good administrative people around here. I just made some suggestions, so yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. All right, so I guess we already did it before, but now that it's kind of amended, I guess I'll move that we accept the resolution number 6-30-17 in its amended form of the extra $1,000 or so monies for Title III obligation.
I would second that motion.
All in favor of the motion to pass the amended resolution, say aye.
I,
Aye. Any opposed? All right. You can get a copy of this, Tim, or I just give it?
Try and get cases again.
Oh, sorry.
I'll get Stacy to attest to it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Excellent. Another reason you cannot retire, you keep us on track. We're here for public comment, so I see we have some, Casey got me this so I could get attention better.
Yeah, that looks
That's very
good.
nice.
It needs a longer stick to reach.
Might-
All right, which of the publics wants to go first?
I will go first.
Oh, all right.
The reason that I'm back again today is twofold. One is during our last meeting about the park project in the pond, we talked about a letter of support, requesting it be done sooner than later.
yeah.
Because our time frame to put the application in as of February 1st. Lad Notech, who's helping us with the application, wants to have it in on Monday. So there's time for the
29th.
state to look at it. Something I found out through our conversation yesterday on the telephone was Forest Service is putting in $5,000, which was unknown to myself. He's putting a grant in for $15,000 from the state. And of course, we talked about our financial needs here, and he knew that the commissioners would not commit to monetary money, but in kind, and we mentioned that at our meeting last time, was if we could get dump trucks and/or a front-end loader to help us in that process, that would be more than enough for
The in-kind part.
the in-kind part.
What's
And
the
if I-
amount that you'd have to have in kind? You
Well,
got,
the state is looking to, he's trying to get $15,000.
so we'd have to match that in kind.
Nowhere in the application or in the process does it say that this has to have a matching amount. But he felt that if there was at least a verbal commitment from the commissioners, that when this project becomes, we can have Jason and/or, the people from the county help us with that project. And also, we're gonna reach out to the new mill and see if they can help us with any process that they can assist in at the time. When this project takes place, I don't know. Glenn and I were in conversation about it and thought maybe, July. I don't know what the work schedule is for Jason during that time of the year.
well, I think if he had a far enough in advance,
Yeah.
you know, that they could schedule
Schedule
any of
something.
their chip
Yeah.
sealing or whatever
Okay.
around, you know, if he knew it far enough in advance
Or
that he could
gravel
probably
hauling.
scale.
So if I can get at least an agreement from the commissioners to do the in-kind, I'll call Ladd and let him know that I have a verbal, which he felt that would be sufficient for the state to
Move forward.
move forward on this.
Do we need a ballpark of what the in-kind would be worth from here?
Ladd didn't mention that, but as long as we have a commitment to the use of
Loaders.
a
dump
loader, a dump truck, you know, something of that nature,
Mhm.
you know, during that time, he felt that that would be enough.
Or you could just say county equipment and then
Mhm.
leave it kind of open and
Mhm.
say up to, then you don't have to have a, you know, say, oh, we haven't met our in kind. You know, if you say up to 10,000,
Mhm.
and if you only use 2 in time and equipment. Or whatever.
You know, I don't know what it costs for, you know, an operator
Mhm.
or a driver.
Well, I know like when we were looking at the paving the Joe, you know, that grant, it was like a 10%, you know, match or whatever, so, you know, that would be like $1,500 if it was a $15,000 grant, so.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
and again, I mean, I
2 or
didn't
3
hear
dump
them
trucks and a
match.
loader and their time would take no time to
Yeah,
match
eat
that
that up.
$1,500. so.
Yeah. So at this point, that letter of support, you know, and I gave Casey the email address to this Ladd Notech so he can submit that letter with the application to the state.
Mhm.
And if we can get a commitment from you all about the in-kind.
Sounds like it's a valuable project towards Mineral County.
Yeah.
And
I
Ladd,
think it's a good project.
I mean, I don't know what the condition of the Savanac pond is. I know they do
Well, no,
fishing
Carol was
tournaments in
saying the
there.
other day
But
that
Ladd
they
is
were
saying
looking at-
that Mineral County this would be the only kids fishing pond in the entire county.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know if he was thinking about that Savanac pond, but he did mention that, you know, Mineral County, St. Regis Park one would be the only one.
Maybe they don't have conditions, the right conditions for
I don't know.
fish, I don't know.
Well, that one flows, that flows live water directly into the St. Regis River, and so you've got sediment issues and bull trout issues. It'd be a lot trickier, I think, to work on that pond.
Oh, the Savanac one?
Yeah, at least the one at St. Regis is landlocked, and it just exchanges groundwater. But there's live water going through the Savanac.
Mm.
And there are fish in there, and the kids, they do have kids do little boating exercises and fishing exercises during summer camps and whatnot.
That's Savanac?
Yeah.
The fishing game used to stock this one in St. Regis every few years, but I don't think they live very long as warm as that
And that's
water
what
gets.
one of the
It's
problems
shallow,
are.
yeah.
Yeah, it's too shallow,
Yeah.
not enough, you know, oxygen in it
Yeah,
during the winter
even
time.
with the aerators, they run an aerator in there all the time, and even with the aerators, it just isn't.
I
enough
mean,
to-
right now, we have the aerator going in our pond, you know, and we've got a donation for the use of the electricity all winter long. So we're putting our money back into our
Yeah.
coffer after, you know. So that was an agreement that was made with John and Kathy Schober. You know, they said that they would in fact pay for the electric bill for the use of the aerator through the winter
Huh.
to see if that would in fact help the conditions of the pond. So I took them up in on that agreement, so.
Well, yeah, I think it's a good idea to let Steve give them a verbal, and I guess when we come to the bridge where we have to actually put pen to paper, we'll have it on the agenda for action item.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that would be an actionable item later on?
Depends if we're entering in, I guess if we're entering into a contract agreement with the state.
With the state?
Yeah,
Okay. Just so I know what
Yeah.
the procedure would be.
yeah,
Okay. I thank you.
yeah. And
The end.
this came in the mail for me, but I think I should give it to you. It's a company that sells like park equipment and tables and benches and blah,
Oh,
blah, blah.
absolutely.
So
I would
got
love
some
to.
prices there and
I would
website.
love to. Thank you.
Mr. Kepke, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm reading the handbook for the flex vehicle out in the garage. Learn how to raise the third seat.
Hmm.
It's like 10 pages of instructions on moving the seats around. And ever since we've had it, we,
How many languages does that come in?
well, so far just English, but.
All right.
Sort of English.
We've only used the second seat, we've never used the third seat, so it's in the down position.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some things that we store back.
This is that disabled veterans band?
Yeah. But Mary Jo came up with 4 veterans in Missoula that need a ride to Helena Monday,
Wow.
and 1 guy I need to bring back from Helena, Missoula. And we're trying to figure out if we can get enough seating for all these
Uh-huh.
people. And I went and fiddled with it, and I couldn't figure out how to raise that seat, so.
Really?
I had to bring in the book. I still haven't figured it out, but at least I
And
know
because
where to.
commissioners are so wise, you thought we'd figure it out for
Yeah.
you?
Well, there is one employee, there is an employee upstairs that has the same kind of vehicle, maybe she could.
Oh.
Now, that's a good one.
Yeah, somebody else.
All right.
Otherwise,
Well,
I'd
good seeing you,
I'd
Steve.
Thank you.
have-
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Keep us informed.
Yes, I absolutely
Took care of
will.
me, so I don't need to.
Mhm.
All right.
And you guys have a good weekend.
You
All right,
too.
you too.
Sorry, we're late, 1:04 instead of 1 o'clock. And the agenda item is a grant partnership, OVW, Office of Violence Against Women, signature MOU and renewal. And I know these two folks.
I'm Chantel Gaynor
Oh.
from Missoula County, and you see me
That's
about
right.
once every 3 years.
That's why I couldn't remember your name, yeah.
Exactly. So this is a renewal for a grant that we came in for last time, and Missoula County and Mineral County partner on what's called the Rural Domestic Violence Grant.
Mm-hmm.
And in Mineral County, what it pays for is half of Shirley's time, and then Mary Furlong's time, and she's technically employed through the county, through Missoula County, but
Okay.
all of her work is in Mineral County.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Missoula County, it pays for some other services that Mineral County folks can access, such as the YWCA emergency shelter. And then it also helps pay for forensic medical exams at First Step at St. Pat's for your sheriff's office.
Oh,
So
okay,
It helps cover, hamper the guns.
yeah.
Had a lot of those.
So,
And then the only other thing it does cover that you guys have, staff has taken advantage of is some training, the national training where you travel for the training. And we always find that they're phenomenal, and it's great to be able to build up the knowledge and capacity so that, you have it in the community.
and so the grant's already, you've already secured it, and all we gotta do is kind of enter into our agreement with you, or?
No, this is the application.
An
So
application?
the application is due mid-February. It will go to OVW, and then we don't hear back until mid to late September whether or not we have the grant. If it's not successful, the current grant ends September 30th. So we don't have a lot of time in between knowing if we got the
Okay.
continuation or not. But
Well, all those services you mentioned, we really appreciate them because we have a hard enough time kind of funding our day-to-day business, let alone those kind of silent, quiet problems in the background, that people don't always know about until they happen.
yeah,
And so, you probably already know the plight of Mineral County, but if you want to add them to your talking points, well, we just made the paper the other day because we have this HIV, Hep
Oh,
C
right, I saw
problem,
that.
which isn't entirely accurate, but if that can help with your, getting attention for grants, we don't think it's warranted, but we'll take the notoriety for that. But, you
Put
know,
some lemonade in that lemon.
yeah, right.
To just add that that was from 2016,
Mm.
I did not arrive until 2017. So I don't want people to think it came.
Well, we don't have
from
any
you.
cases here, so I'm gonna credit you for wiping out the AIDS epidemic.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I just
Okay.
didn't want the statistics to be, Aladies and Butte, Montana showed up.
Yeah.
Our HIV rate skyrocketed.
Yeah, but Chantel, we have only 4,200 people. We have very little tax base. In fact, our little map shows only 7% private land amongst all the state and federal land around us. And so we depend on SRS money, which hasn't been authorized. We depend on PILT money that hasn't been authorized. And so anything you can do to help secure a grant so that we can keep the good work that Shirley does and Mary does and our county attorney and First Step and all of that, because there's not a whole lot of people that need it, but when they do, they're usually the ones that don't have much help or resources to begin with. And
Well, just do me a favor, next time you see Missoula County Commissioners, tell them you like this grant.
I will tell them.
yeah,
So important.
I hardly ever see, you know, I was at a couple meetings in Missoula and I don't bump into them very often, but
Do you guys go to Mako?
I see them there.
Yeah. That's, it's one of those things where Missoula County has some more resources, but also more folks who need services.
Right.
And being able to partner on this, I think, is a win-win for both of us.
Right.
And anytime that we can work together makes sense.
Yeah, I see Cole at the Human Resource Council meeting, so I will definitely.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, do you want me to bring it up?
Sure.
You have my last signature too. So
Oh.
this I'll take with me, but then if you want to keep this is the abstract, so just short and sweet of what the grant pays for. And this is the MOU, which
Okay.
is actually what this sheet goes to.
Okay.
And then you guys also have it all electronic.
Okay. Anybody else wants to read?
And I'll leave that paperwork with you so you can.
Okay.
How do you spell your name, Chantel?
SHANTELLE.
Oh, a little bit of the French in there.
Well, this is all my mom's doing.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Yes. Yeah, my first year tour, they opened the door and I could see the bikes back here and, yeah. Oh, it's so odd how they decided to do that addition. Why didn't they just, there must have been a reason.
So are we all in agreement that we should enter into this extended partnership and sign the MOU with Missoula County?
Most definitely, and I would make a motion that we sign the grant partnership with the Office of Violence Against Women.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, well, thank you, and good luck. When did, you said mid-February is when?
We're gonna shoot for getting it uploaded next week if we can. The deadline had been on the 31st, and then just today I got an email that they extended it. So we're actually fairly close to being done. So we're not gonna wait until then. But.
Cool.
And then, can I take that sheet with me?
You betcha.
Great. Do you guys need it copied or recorded someplace?
Little bit of it.
Yeah, well, Casey can make a copy.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So then, The part that came through the Department of Justice, was that the other half that was paying Shirley?
The one through Marcy's Law through the Board of
Yeah,
Crime
do we
Control.
still have that, or did that go away?
Yes, no, we still have it. I don't know if it'll
Right,
get renewed, but
right.
no, they haven't made
Oh.
any indication that they're gonna stop that,
Great.
that I know of. Have you heard anything, Sharon?
No, not for those, and I can't remember, was that a 1 or 2 year grant?
I think it's a 2-year.
Yep.
And no
So
news is good news.
Yeah.
I think what the Board of Crime Control decided was it didn't make any sense to revoke in the middle and to let folks run the life of the grant and then make decisions about what positions were still needed, what were, because really, there were several counties where they were really short on not just advocates, but paralegals and I mean, all the kinds of things that support county attorney work. And so, like in Missoula, they had preemptively hired 2 positions gearing up for Marcy's Law, and they've converted them into paralegals because they were critically short of those anyway. So, I think as people can keep positions, they're going to try to, and the Board of Crime Control knows that.
Good.
Although now they're the Bureau of Crime Control. Yeah, they're over at the Department of Corrections now.
Right. Oh, good.
Well, it's so important, I mean, and it's a penny, prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Right,
You can
right,
get services further upstream.
And I think the fact that Mineral County's, high unemployment really adds to the workload.
Yeah. Lots of risk factors, isolation, and
Yep.
Yeah, like you mentioned something, we're a small county and we have little resources. You mentioned Missoula County. We always think of them as having more resources, but like you point out, they also have more people, which translates into more problems and just as great a need, actually.
yeah. It's like they go up together.
Yeah.
Right,
You don't end up ahead.
right. Yeah. And how long have you been involved?
I've been with the county for just almost 14 years, and I started actually going up to Sealy Lake and doing this kind of work up in Sealy Lake,
Mm-hmm.
and then moved over to the grants writing, grants administration. Before that, I was at the university for a couple of years doing prevention programming
Mm-hmm.
for students, and so I've been doing this work for 16-ish years.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't gotten less. It's just sort of changes form. So like as cell phones came on, then there were people who use cell phones as a tool to abuse people, or texting and all kinds of stuff. Or we have seen a real change in how people engage with and also deal with human trafficking. That has been a big change, where it's far more out in the open than it had been, but also a far greater understanding that people involved with it are often experiencing abuse.
Yeah. Well, you may or may not know it, Chantel, but the gals that work here, Mary and Shirley, I mean, and on top of it just being a job and filling a void with having the service, these gals are compassionate, understanding, and giving, and so we applaud you guys for doing it too.
Yeah, you guys do great work.
Yeah. Because you have to have the personality for that. And you guys, I don't know if everyone's seen you in action, but Ellen has.
Yeah, I get to read the reports.
So, well, good. We wish you the best of luck mid-February, and if you need any other help from us.
Well, yeah, not right now, although again, when you talk to the Montana delegation, let them know that this is the kind of funding that is good for Mineral County, because when Senator Tester, Senator Daines, and Representative Gianforte hear that sort of thing, they advocate for it. And we've always had great, when our representatives push at like the DOJ, it just helps. It makes an impression. It's good for them to hear. So, as much as you talk, when they come visit.
Yeah.
If they come visit.
Yeah. We've seen them a couple times, not
Yeah.
much recently, but
Well, their representative, Ron Catlett from Kalispell, comes down quite a bit in contact with them, so.
yeah, just making those connections. And I think, I mean, one of the things DC, people in DC, not our reps, but, you know, people who live, they don't understand how big Montana is.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, we had a site visit from somebody from OVW. And because Missoula is a metropolitan statistical area, this grant doesn't fund the city of Missoula, but then all the other area. And she couldn't get her head around how big Missoula County was.
Mhm.
And I had her go up to Sealer Lake, and she did a ride along with one of our deputies up there. And he was basically saying, you know, when I'm on duty up here, I'm the only one on up
Mhm.
here. And if there's domestic violence, I have to make a choice. Am I staying with the victim and trying to get them down into Missoula? Or am I crashing through the woods trying to catch this guy?
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one of me.
Mm-hmm.
And she, you know, for her, she was like, oh.
You just call back up.
Right.
Yeah, it's only an hour and a half away.
Or there was another one where, this was in a grant report, but I got comments back on it. There was a woman who we had been serving, and she was very concerned about her husband had a lot of firearms. And we had talked to her about, well, do you want us to work with the sheriffs on that? And she's like, well, I need some, because there've been a lot of wolves on the property.
I still need a gun.
Can you imagine if people in DC read that?
Exactly.
Do you mean actual wolves or do you
Yeah.
mean just predators?
Yeah.
No, real
Yeah,
wolves.
both. Yeah.
In this case, a couple things that she was worried about for safety.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And so, you know, it's like they don't get Montana,
Mm-hmm.
and because they don't get Montana, then they, you know, they're like, oh, this money doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's very important out there.
Mm-hmm.
And just Mineral County is approximately the size of the state of Rhode Island. Just this county.
Wow.
So it's, you know, that's just a good thing to try to, so they can kind of wrap their mind around it.
Mhm.
You know, it's a smaller state, but that's just our county. Yeah.
There's this one map that I've given them in the past, but if you take the state of Montana and lay it over, and lay it just right on the East Coast, you pick up from Detroit to Chicago all the way to DC, you know, you have to lay it kind of at an angle, but, you know, you get from the Great Lakes down the East Coast. And then oh.
Yes. But only 1 million people in all.
Yeah.
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 Like, so that's the problem.
Mhm.
Yeah, yep. Rural nature.
All right.
Alrighty, well,
Okay, well,
Thank
thank
you so
you.
much.
yeah, thank you guys, and keep up the great work.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right, thanks for coming and
Hope
good luck.
to see you in 3 more
Yep.
years.